All right, let's dive into something really commonplace. Something you probably see every day, maybe leaning against a wall or, zipping past you on the street. Yet, as the source material you shared makes really clear, it's actually something surprisingly deeply revolutionary. We're talking about the bicycle.
It really is fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
You see them everywhere, sure, but when you start peeling back the layers, you find this, well, deceptively simple machine has just quietly reshaped so much.
Yeah.
Societies, our health, the environment, even culture.
Yeah.
In ways we just don't often stop to think about.
Exactly. And that's our mission in this deep dive, pulling directly from the articles and research you've provided to unpack that incredible journey.
Right.
We'll go from its earliest, maybe kind of clumsy beginnings all the way to its cutting-edge future, exploring that impact every step of the way.
Yeah, get ready to see the bicycle in a completely new light. There are some genuinely surprising things hidden in this material.
Okay, let's unpack this then. And to do that, we have to go back, way further back than most people probably think, for something that feels so modern.
Yeah, the bicycle's roots are much, much older than you'd guess.
So where does it start?
Well, what's really fascinating is tracing it back to 1817 in Germany. That's when Karl Dreis invented something he called the Lauf machine,
Lauf machine.
which charmingly translates to running machine.
Okay, a running machine. But here's the kicker, right? It had no pedals.
Exactly. No pedals at all. You literally propelled yourself forward by pushing off the ground with your feet.
Like a modern balance bike for kids.
Pretty much, yeah.
Ah.
Forget trying to pedal uphill on that thing. You were basically running while sitting on this wooden frame with two wheels. It was less a vehicle, more like an assisted stride,
Wow. Okay, so the pedals, the really critical bit, that came later.
Much later. We jump forward quite a bit to the 1860s over in France. That's when pedals were finally added, though not quite where you'd expect them initially. Well, they were often attached directly to the hub of the front wheel. This new version, that was called the velocipede.
Ah, the velocipede, which I understand quickly got a much more, let's say, descriptive nickname.
Oh yeah, the bone shaker.
Bone shaker, you can just picture it.
And for very good reason. Imagine riding a rigid metal frame, solid wheels, maybe metal or wood, on cobblestone streets. Oof.
Yeah.
Every single bump, every stone went straight up your spine. The source material's description of riding that,
Yeah.
it makes you wince just thinking about it.
Ouch is definitely right. Okay, so thankfully, people kept tinkering, the design evolved. What was the next big leap, the one that got us closer to what we know?
That big step, the one that really set the stage for the modern era, was the safety bicycle. That came about around 1885.
Safety bicycle, and that's the one that starts to look familiar.
That's the one. Finally, you have two wheels of the same size. You've got a chain drive connecting the pedals now between the wheels to the rear wheel, and a much more stable lower frame.
Easier to get on, safer to ride.
Much safer, much easier. And that specific design, that's what really ignited the first major bicycle boom.
And that boom, as the sources point out, wasn't just about a new gadget. This relatively simple machine started kicking off some profound shifts in human life and society itself.
Absolutely. What really stands out is its sort of democratizing power, especially as production scaled up and they became more affordable.
Right.
Suddenly, reliable personal transportation wasn't just for the rich folks who could afford horses and carriages. It opened up the world, mobility for the working class in a big way.
And maybe even more dramatically, the sources really highlight its huge role, especially in the late 1800s, in giving women this unprecedented freedom, independence, particularly in Europe and America.
Yeah, this wasn't just about, going for a leisurely ride. It was explicitly tied into the women's rights movement that was gaining steam.
How so?
Well, the bike offered mobility, real mobility beyond the immediate neighborhood, beyond sort of traditional confines of the home. It allowed women to travel independently, to participate more fully in public life.
And famous figures recognize this.
Oh, absolutely. Iconic figures like Susan B. Anthony. She actually said the bicycle has done more to emancipate women than anything else in the world.
Wow. That's incredibly powerful, just from a bicycle.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it didn't just change individual lives like that, it literally reshaped our cities.
Okay, how did it do that?
Well, think about it. Before the bicycle became widespread, where you lived was pretty much dictated by how far you could reasonably walk to work, or maybe afford an expensive carriage ride.
Right, your options were limited.
Very limited.
Yeah.
The bike blew that radius wide open. Suddenly people could live further out.
Ah, so you weren't tethered quite so tightly to the city center or the factory gate.
Exactly. This ability to commute relatively quickly, affordably, over longer distances, it played a direct role in the growth of the first suburbs around major urban centers.
That's fascinating. I hadn't quite connected the bicycle to suburban growth like that.
And if you fast forward, you can see that legacy today, right?
Yeah.
Look at cities like Amsterdam or Copenhagen.
Built for bikes.
Fundamentally built around bikes, not cars. Their whole infrastructure, their urban planning philosophy. It continues that thread of freedom and accessible mobility that the bicycle first offered. It's still shaping cities globally.
So it changed where we lived, how we moved, and the sources also strongly emphasize it kicked off a kind of personal health revolution, too.
Oh, definitely. Riding a bicycle is consistently highlighted as just one of the absolute best forms of exercise you can get.
Why is that? What are the benefits?
It's really a fantastic all-around workout. Great for your cardiovascular system, your heart, your lungs. It strengthens major muscle groups, legs obviously, but core too. And interestingly, it even has cognitive benefits.
Like what?
Boosting brain function, reducing stress. It's just good for your overall fitness and well-being.
And it doesn't take a huge commitment either, does it? I think the sources mentioned a specific finding.
Yeah, that was really compelling. Just 30 minutes of cycling a day, that's all. Can significantly reduce your risk of major health problems like heart disease and obesity.
30 minutes? That feels achievable for a lot of people.
It's a relatively small time investment for potentially huge health returns. And another key advantage, which makes it so accessible,
What's that?
it's low impact. Unlike, say, running, which can be hard on your joints, the smooth, circular motion of cycling is much gentler.
Right, ease you on the knees and hips. Which means
It's truly something almost anyone can do, from little kids on their first balance bikes, the modern ones, all the way up to seniors.
Yeah, I loved that point in the sources about older people riding daily. It's not just about physical health at that age, is it?
Not at all. It's about staying active, sure, but also social connection, getting out, mental well-being, staying happy.
Okay, so we've got personal freedom, city transformation, individual health. Now let's shift gears to the planet's health. The bicycle stands out there too, right? As incredibly eco-friendly.
Oh, it's one of the most eco-friendly inventions ever, full stop.
It seems almost too simple, doesn't it?
Well, think about the basics. They don't use any fossil fuels.
Yeah.
Zero. They produce absolutely no air pollution, no tailpipe emissions, and they're virtually silent.
So every time someone chooses a bike over a car, even for a short trip,
That's a direct choice to reduce their personal carbon footprint. It's a tangible action against air pollution and noise pollution.
and we're seeing this play out on a larger scale in cities now with things like bike sharing programs.
Exactly. You see them everywhere. Major cities like Paris or New York, London.
Yeah.
They're actively leveraging bikes, often through these massive sharing schemes, to cut down on traffic congestion,
Less traffic, cleaner air.
cleaner air. And it provides a genuinely sustainable urban transport option for residents and visitors alike.
And the potential climate impact if more people cycled more often.
It's enormous. Transportation is one of the biggest sources of greenhouse gas emissions globally. So if more people integrated cycling into their daily lives, even replacing just some car trips,
It could make a real difference.
it's a significant difference in combating climate change. There was a powerful statistic in the source material that really highlights this.
What was that?
One study estimated that if just 10%, only 10% of car trips globally were replaced by bicycle trips,
Okay.
global carbon emissions could drop by millions of tons every single year.
Wow. Millions of tons just from a 10% shift. That's the power of scaling up something simple.
Precisely. The collective impact of individual choices.
Okay, so beyond all these practical uses, transport, freedom, health, environment, the bicycle has also somehow become this potent cultural icon.
It really has. It often seems to symbolize these core human values, doesn't it? Freedom, definitely. Simplicity, independence, sometimes even a bit of rebellion or escape.
You see it pop up everywhere.
Yeah, it's a recurring motif across movies, books, even politics sometimes. It signals change or nostalgia or aspiration.
Can you give some examples from the sources?
Well, think about those really indelible images from film, like E.T., right?
Oh yeah, the flying
Bike. It perfectly captures that sense of childhood wonder, escape, magic. Or, on a totally different note, a film like The Bicycle Thieves.
Much grittier.
Much grittier. But the bicycle there is absolutely central. It represents dignity, livelihood, survival itself. Its theft is devastating.
So it carries a lot of emotional weight and culture. And then, of course, there's sport.
Oh, huge in sport. It's a powerhouse.
You immediately think of the Tour de France, I suppose.
Absolutely. Probably the most famous cycling race in the world. Just this epic test of human endurance, strategy, teamwork, captivating millions every year.
And it's an Olympic sport, too.
A core Olympic sport in various disciplines. So, yeah, for countless people around the world, it's far more than just a way to get to work or run errands. It's a serious competitive sport. It's a dedicated lifestyle. It's a deep passion.
Okay, so we've traced this incredible journey from that foot-powered running machine back in 1817
Right.
to this global force impacting transport, society, health, the environment, culture, sport. So looking ahead now, what's next? What does the future hold for the humble bicycle?
Well, it's definitely not standing still. We're seeing a lot of rapid innovation that's really expanding its capabilities and its reach.
Like what kind of things?
You've got electric bikes, e-bikes, which are just exploding in popularity everywhere.
Yeah, you see those a lot now.
Folding bikes, super convenient for urban commuting, combining with public transport. Cargo bikes, becoming really popular for families and businesses to haul goods.
Replacing delivery vans in some cases?
In some cases, yeah. And even smart bikes, integrated with GPS, fitness tracking, anti-theft systems.
Those e-bikes, though, they seem like a particularly big game changer.
Oh, absolutely. The sources really emphasize this. They're transforming commutes, especially in cities that might be hilly or where distances are a bit longer.
Like the examples mentioned, Beijing, Berlin.
Exactly. Cities like that. E-bikes just make cycling more accessible. They flatten hills. They make longer distances less daunting. It means a wider range of people, maybe people who aren't super athletic or are a bit older, can comfortably choose cycling. They really level the playing field.
Makes sense. And beyond the tech, is there innovation happening in how bikes are actually made?
Yes, definitely. There's a really interesting movement towards more sustainable design and manufacturing in the bike industry.
You mean like using different materials?
Precisely.
Hmm.
We're seeing companies experimenting with and successfully using alternative materials, things like bamboo.
Bamboo bikes? Really?
Yeah. Or bikes made from recycled aluminum or other reclaimed materials. It shows that bikes can be eco-friendly, not just in how you use them, but in how they're actually produced. And honestly, a lot of them look really cool too.
The source mentioned a specific example, didn't it? From Ghana.
It did, yeah. A bamboo bicycle initiative in Ghana that's now producing bikes sold internationally. It highlighted that bamboo is surprisingly strong. It's lightweight, and of course, it's highly sustainable. It's innovation, but with a conscience built in.
That's really neat. Okay, so wrapping all this up then, we've gone from that foot push contraption in 1817.
The Lauf machine.
Right. All the way to these high-tech e-bikes, sustainable bamboo frames, and its massive global cultural impact.
Yeah.
If we sort of synthesize everything we've explored in this deep dive, drawing from all that source material, it becomes incredibly clear, doesn't it? The bicycle is just far, far more than a simple vehicle with two wheels.
It really is. It's been this, powerful engine for personal freedom, especially historically. A catalyst for big societal shifts.
Yeah.
A remarkably effective, simple tool for improving public health.
Mm-hmm.
A quiet but really potent force for environmental protection. And, a symbol of independence, adventure, human potential, all wrapped up in this elegant mechanical form.
And whether you, listening now, rely on a bike for your daily commute, or maybe you love hitting trails on the weekend, or maybe you just have fond memories of that freedom riding as a kid.
Yeah.
The impact of this invention, it's something kind of woven into the fabric of our modern world, often in ways we just don't fully pause to appreciate.
I think maybe the most striking takeaway, for me at least, is just how much ongoing change and widespread influence, how much impact one seemingly simple, purely mechanical invention thought up centuries ago continues to generate across so many critical aspects of our lives, our health, the planet's health, even today. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other sort of unassuming objects that we interact with every day might hold that kind of immense, untapped potential to shape our future?
That is a truly thought-provoking place to leave it. A fantastic way to end this deep dive. Thank you so much for walking us through the surprisingly rich story of the bicycle.
My pleasure. It was a genuinely fascinating dive into the sources. We really hope you, listening, found it as insightful and maybe as surprising as we did.
Yeah.
And hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive, maybe consider following the show, sharing it, perhaps leaving a review. It really does help other people discover these kinds of hitter stories too.
Absolutely. And remember, sometimes the simplest inventions carry the heaviest weight of history, and maybe even the brightest potential for future revolutions.
Well said. See you on the next deep dive.